service. The defendant in this case, again, was charged with murder for murdering his wife, and I can tell you that at this point, this is still very much an active investigation that we are still monitoring, and we're working very closely with the Harris County Sheriff's Office investigators to make sure that justice is done in this case.
Has her body been recovered?
At this time, this is, again, an active investigation, and I am going to, I can't speak to that at this time.
Where did he try to cremate her?
In a shed, and we believe it was at their home.
In a shed out behind their home?
Yes.
And did he, well, I mean, how far did he get? Did he have her out on the curb waiting for the trash guys to come?
Well, according to the probable cause affidavit, he definitely admitted that he put the remains in a trash bag and put it on the curb. But then, you know, he also provides facts that they didn't pick it up, and so he took it elsewhere. But at this point, I don't have all of those details.
He didn't chop her up or anything like that?
I don't have those details.
How amazing is it that that person came forward? Because, I mean, you're talking months later, right? That individual, I mean, how instrumental was that? And what do you think about the person that?
Sure. So I think he's a very brave person. I think he's a very brave person. He is somebody that, again, without, we may not have known what had happened to this woman, or without significant investigation. It was about a month. He called this witness, the defendant called this witness the same day that he admits strangling her, which was February 16th. And so the witness immediately went into action, and he knew that something wasn't right. And even though he told the defendant to turn himself in, that wasn't enough for him. He still had that gut feeling that perhaps he needed to get authorities involved, and he did.
How would you describe their relationship? Friends, relatives?
The witness?
The witness.
For what I understand, that they were friends. Yes, they were in regular contact with each other. They were friends.
So it was actually the 16th. You think that's the day that she was killed, or do you know the day that she was killed?
February 16th, 2019.
And then it just took a little bit of time after that, after it was reported, and then kind of piecing it together.
Sure. So what happens on these cases is that, especially when you have delayed reports of deaths, the investigators have to do a lot of different things, from subpoenaing records, trying to get statements, looking for witnesses, and all of that is necessary. So that was why we had the delay.
I know what he did for a living. Did she have a profession as well? Did she do anything?
At this point, I don't know much about Ms. Vestal. I do know that we did some initial searches on their family violence history. We were looking for whether or not there was family violence history, and we have not come up with anything that there's been any documented reports of violence between the two.
And did anybody else report her? Did their family have questions, or neighbors or friends, somebody who might have known her? Do you know?
Again, this is an active investigation, and I think they're trying to piece all that together, but I can't provide that to you now.
When you look at this case, I mean, obviously this is really disturbing. Amongst all these kind of cases that you hear, I know you guys cover a lot of murders. How disturbing is this one?
Yeah, it's very disturbing. And this homicide itself, because it was a strangulation homicide, it really underscores the need for the Harris County Strangulation Task Force that was created by District Attorney Ogg and the Harris County D.A.'s office. I lead that task force, and I work with all of our law enforcement agencies to make sure that our patrol officers are identifying strangulation, because a lot of times visible signs are not present on strangulation cases. So if by teaching officers how to recognize these signs and symptoms, hopefully our goal is to make sure that we can hold these offenders accountable, because whenever strangulation is present, it increases the likelihood of homicide by 7.5 times. Now, and I know in this particular situation, there was no reported instances of family violence, but we also know that many times victims can suffer in silence and not report.
Well, in this case specifically, do we know what they were arguing about? What was so awful that it led to strangulation?
We really don't. We know that they were coming from they were coming from a club or something that night, but we don't know the details about the argument. We don't have that information now. But when you say disturbing, on as far as on the scale of 1 to 10, it's off the charts. This is a very horrific and very tragic and very personal homicide, and it's something that nobody should ever have to experience. And unfortunately, this took the life of a very kind woman here in Harris County. We file 2,000 strangulation cases a year in Harris County. So strangulation is a major, it's 1/3 of all the felony family violence cases that we file. So that's why we decided to institute the task force so we can identify and understand this crime better so we can keep our citizens safer.
And I know strangulation is kind of synonymous sometimes with sort of an emotionally driven crime. Is that typical, or I don't know?
I mean, it's kind of like stabbing. I would analogize it to stabbing as well. I mean, there's no, all of them are bad. All types of manner and means of homicides are obviously horrific, but strangulation is an intensely personal crime. Stranglers often like to, those cases that don't end up in homicides, the stranglers like to play God because they want their victims to know that they can and will, in some instances, take their life away by simply applying pressure around the neck or suffocation or other ways to obstruct the airflow and oxygen.
Let's look at the charges when they come in. It seems to be the go-to method now for male on female.
It's very frustrating. Yes, sir, it is. It's again, we file over 2,000 of those cases. These women and men, mainly women though, on our strangulation cases. These are non-fatal cases. We file about 2,000 of those, but unfortunately, it is becoming, for our homicide cases, the preferred manner and means of homicide.
Our suspect in this case now is in jail. Is he being held on no bond? I haven't checked. I was wondering if you know.
So at this point, tomorrow he has an arraignment. We're going to court and we're filing a no bond motion, a motion to hold him at no bond. He poses a grave threat to this community, and so we want to do everything that we can so we can make sure that he stays in jail. And if he is let out on any type of bond, we will be filing an extensive motion for bond conditions that would include things such as GPS monitoring and things of that nature. But we are arguing to hold him at no bail.
What do you think that says that he actually approached somebody else for assistance? That seems very...
I don't know. I mean, I think you can look at it several different ways, but I think that he I don't know what his mental state was, but whenever you involve other people in your criminal activity or heinous acts, I think that suggests that you really don't realize that how bad of an act that you've committed. Yeah, and the other things would be speculation, and I don't want to do that, but it's definitely, in this case, I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did, and I'm glad that the witness was brave enough to come forward with police.
So that helps you a lot to solve this case.
Absolutely. He did give a statement, and he gave a voluntary statement, so that was good. But had he not done that, we would have had a harder time proving the case. But thank God we had that witness who was available to help us piece the puzzles together.
Now, the shed you mentioned, he said he burned in some fashion her body or attempted to burn it in a shed. Is that like in the backyard or on the property?
I don't exactly know where it is in connection to his home. That is a detail that we're still working out, but he did attempt to burn the body after he killed her via strangulation.
But he sacked her up and left her out to the garbage can in front of his house.
That's what the probable cause affidavit states, yes.
Did he know why they didn't pick her up?
I don't know that.
And, was this within the municipality of Katy, or I'm not clear if that was like a...
Well, the address is a Harris County address, Golden Mesa Drive. I'm not exactly sure if it's in the city of Katy or not, but that's some information that we could get to you at a later time.
And
It says it is on the charges.
the remains of the deceased, is that in the location, is that with the ME's office, or is that...
I'm not able to speak about that at this time.
That's still...
Still pending.
Okay.
¿Podemos cambiar español?
También, okay.
Muy bien. ¿Nos dan su primer nombre y apellido, por favor?
Carvana Cloud.
Ok. ¿Nos puede decir cómo un testigo?
Carvana Cloud, CLOUD.
Muy bien. ¿Cómo se enteraron en la Procuraduría o la policía de que este hombre al parecer había matado a su esposa?
Lo que pasa es que un amigo de ese hombre dijo a la policía que él ha matado a su esposa. Él es su amigo, él es muy importante a nuestro caso porque él ayudó a las autoridades de aprender y arrestar a ese hombre y nosotros hemos cargado él con el cargo de asesinato.
¿Qué les dijo originalmente el señor Hammersley de dónde estaba su esposa?
Él dijo que no sabía dónde estaba y que hacía mucho tiempo que no ha visto y reportó a la policía que necesitaba ayuda para encontrarla. Pero todo eso era mentira porque realmente él ha matado a ella en la casa en su casa, en la recámara.
¿Cuándo
¿En qué
fue
forma
que
la mató?
¿Cuándo fue que ocurre esto?
Eso ocurrió en Katy, lo que está en Harris County, pero en el día 16 de febrero de ese año, de 2019.
¿Cuándo la reporta como desaparecida y cómo la mató?
So, él reportó que ella estaba desaparecida en marzo 19. So, casi un mes después de que él se la mató.
¿Tienen alguna forma de saber cómo murió la señora? ¿Qué dijo él?
Él dijo que estaba peleando después de visitando un nightclub o discoteca, regresó a la casa, empezó a tener una lucha sobre algo, empezó con palabras y luego era físicamente, él dice que abusó a ella y también había una altercación entre los dos, pero él dijo a su amigo que él ahorcó ella en la recámara de ellos y ella se murió al resultado.
¿Qué hizo con el cuerpo?
Él trató y él tenía éxito, desafortunadamente. Él trataba de esconder el cuerpo y, ¿cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Burn, quemó. Él la quemó, la esposa, su cuerpo, y puso su cuerpo para la basura, para que ellos puedan recoger la basura.
¿Qué se sabe de los restos de su esposa? ¿Los restos de la esposa
Sí.
los tienen las autoridades?
Ahora no podemos comunicar o discutir eso porque todavía es una investigación que sigue. So, no puedo dar detalles de eso, pero yo puedo decirle que estamos trabajando muy cerca con las autoridades y el Emmy's Office para descubrir todo.
¿Cuánto tiempo tardó en que el testigo diera parte a las autoridades de la desaparición de esta mujer?
Dice, él llamó a la policía en marzo 19 y dijo, casi 26. Creo que 2 semanas porque él quería dar una oportunidad del hombre de reportarse a la policía. Él dijo a él, debe reportar lo que hizo, debe reportar que usted la mató a ella. Pero el amigo no creía que él iba a hacer, entonces él lo hizo y él reportó a la policía lo que el hombre ha dicho a él.
¿Qué tan grotesco es este asesinato?
Muy grotesca. Es muy mal. Estrangulación es un crimen muy personal y ocurre en ese condado casi 2,000 veces cada año. Nosotros tenemos casos de estrangulación en la cantidad, otra vez, de 2,000 casos cada año. Ese tipo de asesinato es personal, es grotesca y puede demostrar que la violencia doméstica siempre sigue y puede resultar en un asesinato. Nosotros tenemos que hacer mucho para cooperar con las autoridades, la policía, para dar recursos a ellos para investigar esos casos antes de que la persona muere.
¿Había ya reportes de violencia familiar en este hogar?
En este hogar no. Yo descubrí que no hay ningún reporte entre los dos de violencia doméstica.
Ahora, ¿qué va a suceder con el sospechoso? Se encuentra ahorita detenido. Estaban diciendo que va
van a tratar de buscar que no tenga una fianza.
Sí, no tiene fianza y no debe. Nosotros vamos a pedir que él se quede allá sin fianza porque cometió ese asesinato. Mañana él va a la corte y nosotros podemos hablar con el juez para poner el no bond motion porque es para la seguridad de la comunidad. And I think that's all the time we have.
¿Tenían hijos?
No sé.
All right,
Do you have time to just say, give us the timeline that it happened here, this is when police reported?
I don't think we're able to do that right now. A lot of those pieces are still very much actively coming together.
we can get that.
But the probable
Well-
cause affidavit is available.
She was killed the 16th. He reported it. She gave us that. It's like in March, I think.
But she said it took some time to.
I'll give it to you if you need.
Trying to get it in the thumbnail.